We are live, testing all the music.
Hey, we got dog cam. We got the dog cam going, dude.
Dog cam. You got dog cam in the background.
So, dude.
Oh my gosh, what happened to this? Did this would not pop out? Oh my word. This is why we. No?
Oh, like, look, my whole face is covering the thing.
Yeah, bro. Discord video. Let's make it smaller. Sorry, we have to do this live. Technical difficulties, but we are. There we go.
Yeah, the stream is just Jarcque's like
Jarcque's.
head.
Yeah,
the top of
Jarcque's.
his head.
Yeah.
So I had a big head.
Yeah, don't worry, we all have big heads. That's why we're on stream. So, welcome, guys. This is going to be our first stream with one of the kind of crazier players, Jarcque Henning. He recently won I say he came second in the Egg National Qualifiers, and in the interest of showing and kind of showcasing South African play, getting a little bit of info and understanding of the way we are going to be kind of showcasing competitive Magic. This is what we want to do, is bring in all the toppies. Jarcque's been playing since 1999, which is general volumes low. Okay, cool. I'll start to add a little bit. Is that better? Cool. Just tell me if it's too low. Cool. So Jarcque has been playing since 1999. I think that's before the Boomer period, as we now know, like Boomer Rock, Boomertron, there's E-Tron. And, Magic goes through its phases, it goes through its waves, right? There's eras that we go through. And so, Jarcque, I want to give you a little bit of time to kind of give us background on how you started Magic, how you got into the game, and, how did it progress to becoming a store owner and, competitive player?
Well, look, I think I started the same way as most kids. Just started off playing this game. I played Pokemon TCG when it started in '99. And
So Pokemon started in 99?
Yeah, 99. Pokemon
Okay, so after Magic.
99.
Yeah, Magic is the
Yeah.
OG. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why we play this game.
And in high school you see the cool matrix and the grade 11s jamming Magic, and it's like, why am I playing?
Did you say Cool Matrix, bro? Pre 2000, Cool Matrix. Well, don't you mean Outcast, the little nerdy bug?
That step cut, bro.
That's the bob cut. The bob cut.
Yeah,
Yes, I can imagine it. You got a little bit of a close one there.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
Hey, it looks good though. It looks good. So this hairstyle stayed the same for through that Boomer period.
Yeah, well, look, I picked it up. A bunch of our friends stopped playing Pokemon, started jamming Magic, and we found out like there's actually like grew up in Polokwane. We found out there's like a old toppy hosting Magic events in his garage, and his three lighties are playing Magic, and it's like, cool. We'll rock up there on a Saturday and we start jamming.
Sick.
So
that's a good story.
Yeah, and it's like, anyways, the first 6 months, like typical when you start playing tournaments, you see your ass. Literally, you lose every single event. So
I've had that period.
But
I haven't won anything.
But one day, all of a sudden, you start winning, and it's like, okay, cool, let's carry on. I mean, competitively, like there was a nationals qualifier in Polokwane, and a couple of local guys. We were about 20 local guys who rocked up, and this big group of Joburg toppies, old toppies. So Russell Tankle was one of them. He was
my word! I haven't seen Russell in ages.
They were called the Suicide Penguins. We even had
Suicide Penguins.
Suicide Penguins.
They had clan names already.
Yeah.
Pre 2000, pre gaming.
Oh bro, it was something else. And I just remember it's like I lost the last round for my winning in to qualify for my first nationals. I haven't played a year, and I got knocked out by one of these stoppies. And I'm like, yes, I'm frustrated. And I found out now the next week there's a qualifier at Tux, and in Pretoria, and I told my parents, like, listen, I'm buying a bus ticket. I'm going to Pretoria.
Mm-hmm.
And rocked up, went to Pretoria. I still played a block constructed deck, and the qualifier was a standard event.
Okay.
And I actually made top 16, and it was 80 players, 80 player qualifier event.
What? 80?
Made
When was this?
Dude, it was 2002.
2001. 2001. So this is like literally just entering the era of the 21st century, and you guys had, you said 80 players.
Yeah, it was at Tux. It was
Yes.
a player event.
I mean, we can't even get 80 players like scrapped up together for like, what's going on here? You know?
Back in the day, you had road warriors, like literally all the guys, the older guys, when it wasn't school kids, they would jump in a car, drive down to Durban or Bloemfontein or Cape Town for the weekend to play qualifiers. That's how it worked.
That feels like obviously the way the Americans are playing. You know, the way they'll jump on a 2-hour drive, 3-hour drive.
Planes are cheaper, dude. You pay your $80 for your flight from one side of the country to the other side. You go play Magic.
And that's really what we. I hope you know. I know you've obviously been a big influence on the competitive scene. I know you know like. You know, it's very difficult for us to get to experience good play, right? It's very hard for people to want or to actually get that feel, you know, like that competitive feel in the Magic space. And this is part of why we want to say showcase events and get people to see this, because you can watch the plays and you can see what's going to be better, what's going to how do like your improvements, you know you can see where you need to improve your game, right, based on other people playing the deck and sharing that. And so what from those toppies did you learn? What was one of your like greatest learning experiences from the toppies?
So, well, you know, like playing against like people like John Wood and Russell, and even back then Sanjay. Sanjay was a good player in his day, you know, and
in his day. I don't know who Sanjay is, but there was a nice jab there.
Sanjay Rupka, yeah, no, like, dude, it's like, if you want to cringe, it's like he's a real magpie. So all his decks are foiled out completely, and he riffles shuffles that deck, like the cards are.
Oh my god! So you don't want to hand your deck over to him for cutting.
Yeah, that's Sanjay. But like, look, every time you play against those Oaks and you learn from your losses, you became better. You make a mistake, you learn, and you never make that mistake again. And it's very simple. It's you try to become better every single time. Every match you play, you become better.
So when do you feel like that your tipping point was between like feeling like you were just a general Magic player towards stepping up towards being a competitive player? Because I know you won a RPTQ. Was it a standard one? When was it?
Standard RPTQ in 2017? Yeah, Jan 2017. It was on my birthday, actually.
Right, that luck, eh? That birthday luck.
It was on my birthday, playing standard, and I was still in a rush. It was like, can I just lose now so I can go home and Brian get drunk? You know? And, then I made it all the way to the final facing Kiran Chetty, and it's like, oh man, like, you know, let's just get this over so I can get in the car
and Joel
and go have drinks. And you know, we got to game 3, and all of a sudden Kiran is missing on his draws, and I'm just stop taking, and it's like, whoa, like, listen, I'm winning this. So I got lucky. I got really lucky, and
that's also
you know,
Magic, right? I think a lot of people don't understand that you got to ride your luck.
Like if your opponent whiffs 3 draws in a row, and you just stop take answers, you swing the match. It's very simple.
And
that's 15% variance.
Yeah, well, look, yeah, it is the variance, right? And I mean, you played at a GP, and when you're grinding out rounds like that, right? Yeah, you it doesn't get it. Yes, there's variance, right? That's the part of the game. That variance is in poker. Variance is in all types of games. You know, there is always luck involved. You know, but essentially, in order for you to grind out that many rounds and win that many rounds, to even, you know, qualify for the top 8. I mean, you can only take 2 losses maybe or I think back in the day it might have been
Yes.
13 and 2. Now it's like 14 and 1.
So I didn't qualify for top 8. I finished 99th. 99th. Salvesh finished 10th, and Darren Fox finished about in the 70s. So I went 10 and 5
Okay.
after going. Yeah, so I was 9 and 0. Then I dropped my first match on day 2 against Javier Dominguez.
Oh,
And
the South Americans.
I was on. Yeah, so world champion. You know, you're playing your first Grand Prix. You know.
Well, you played your first Grand Prix and went undefeated 8 rounds. Yeah. Okay. Look,
Yeah,
let's talk about that, right? That's because that's a very interesting one in the way Magic operates, right? The getting the game round 1 bye is like the only time you want to get a bye, right?
2 round buys.
Yeah. Yes.
So I played the grinder.
Mm-hmm.
The event on the Friday, and I was like, I played one and I lost, and I was like, I told the guys like, listen, I'm done for the day. I'm gonna go back to the flat, gonna get some rest. And it's like they told me, no man, stay, jam another one. You know, okay, cool, 40 euros. Here we go, let's jam. And
You're when in Rome, right?
yeah, you know. So luckily it wasn't a sealed one. I jammed a modern one.
Okay.
And so I went undefeated that one. Got my two buys.
Sick.
And yeah, Saturday it's just another feeling, you know, that 2 rounds you don't have to stress or worry about, you know, winning, because those first 2 rounds are the most important, I believe.
Yeah.
And you know, you can I sat on one table, one side, bought new sleeves my deck. Yeah, and it was very chill going into the 3rd round.
So we're talking about, so usually, for instance, like the style, if you want, say, like a big event like you've just I wouldn't say won in inverted commas, because you basically want to spot into those things, and usually we're like, this is what I say competitive, the kind of competitive scene needs is obviously those satellites positioned so that people are playing multiple events to give them the best edges in that game, right? So technically, those 2 rounds, yeah, okay, cool. They're 2 games that you didn't have to win, but you won them the day before, right? In your knowledge, your base. So it's not a free win, right? So, and then you've also got to still win 6 rounds against some of the best players in Europe, right?
Yeah.
It's not just a now. I think you said you played green, white, black, green Constrictor.
So Barcelona was a modern event.
Okay.
So I jammed humans. A week before Barcelona was the regional pro.
RPTQs or
RPTQ.
Yes.
So it was a team trios event. So it was standard team trios. So you 3 players each on different decks of standard. So Salvesh and myself and Wesley Ward was in a team. We did really, really well. We finished the highest of the South African teams. There was 3 different teams.
Oh, nice. Who was there as well? Kieran, I'm guessing.
Tien's Kieran. Steve Gerson was there.
Okay, I know Steve.
Oh. And Jonathan Ogden and Savation. Yeah, because I think Jonathan won one of our RPTQs as well.
Okay, in South Africa.
Yeah.
That was the last time I think that we had RPTQs here.
Yeah, that was the last year.
Yeah, that's when they cancelled all of those things. So there've been a lot of restructuring. It's been a lot of like changes and everything. But what I want to say is like we've been when we're trying to build up the profile towards nationals, we're trying to get everyone trying to really come out from Joburg, Cape Town, Pretoria, even if they didn't qualify, at least to come to nationals, because I think we want to build up that hearse, right? That South African hearse for Magic, that flair that everyone enjoys, everyone plays with. So saying that, I want us to kind of go to your deck, because that's really why we're here. We want to actually get into the discussions of so this is the deck list here. I want to talk to you. A lot of people, this is not this green white Heliod company has been around for quite some time now. I think ever since Heliod got printed, Walking Ballista, and that combo it's a nice 2-card combo. It works out well. So tell me, why did you pick this? Out of all the decks that you could have chosen to.
I didn't pick this. So Volv told me, like, So look, I didn't have any modern cards or
Mm.
anything. It's like I just have a bunch of pauper decks, and
I know you love that.
so I
game.
got a bunch of store credit, and it's like, okay, let's see build a modern deck, and Wolf, like, he told me, like, listen, Heliod Company, it's a good modern deck, and I was like, okay, cool, so that's on my list.
Mhm.
And then Modern Horizons 2 started getting spoiled, and I'm like, oh, these cards look good, and I'm looking at 5-color Domain Zoo with Draco, with a sign of Draco, and that's Elemental Carvu, and I'm like, yes,
It's probably also
you
taking you
go,
back to your boomer times, right?
bro. Now with Triomes, you go turn one Triome into a breeding pool. Cool, I've got a 5/5 on board, and I can Tribal Flames you for 5. I'm like, yeah, this is brilliant. And so, anyways, glad I didn't build that deck, by the way.
Yeah, because it is a bit glass cannony. I had my eye on that. When I say that, I think my first experience of a very explosive deck was Zoo here, because Zoo was a very palatable deck.
Yeah,
You know, like
Zoo is fantastic. Zoo, like Tribal Zoo was one of my favorite decks to play.
Mm.
Tribal Flames,
Well, my
Domain
card-
Zoo, as we know it, boomer language.
boomer
So,
language. I'm still, I'm still learning the language, and I'm setting this thing up because I'm like, I want everyone to start learning as much as I've kind of dug deep in. You don't have to have started when it as an OG, but it is
Yeah.
comes down to learning the card pool, and that's really what modern is, right? You're telling.
well, look, like I'm not a builder. I don't build decks. I pick up a deck, I play it. I learn the deck,
Mhm.
and I play the deck. Look, if you want to pick up tips on how to build a deck, phone Kiran Chetty.
Mhm.
There's nobody as good as Kiran Chetty in this country building decks.
Yeah, so just a point on Kiran Chetty. We were talking offline just before we went live. You were telling us that Kiran qualified for a
Well, he didn't qualify, so he topped 8
Top 8,
MTGO
yeah.
event last week with a Junt Fu deck.
oh nice.
Running Urza Saga, which is brilliant
Yeah.
with Tarmogoyfs. And it's like the Black Red Fruit deck, but splash screen for Tarmogoyfs.
Okay.
Brilliant deck. And I was watching the one event, the Hunter Memorial event this weekend, and it's like
That's
the guy
beautiful.
placed 4th with the exact same list as Kiran. So look, it's I'm just saying, it's like, if you put the list out there, somebody's going to jam it, and Kiran is literally one of those oaks. It's like he builds decks.
Yeah,
He's really good.
and he's also one of the quieter players. When I say quieter, he's like, he pops out the crack for competitive tournaments, will take it down or top 8 it, and
Yeah, that's. But he plays so much online. It's you'll if you just go look on online events, full time Kiran C. I mean, you'll see in the last month how many times he 5-0'd a league, or top 8 at a preliminary. So he plays a lot of online.
yeah, so I mean, and that's also really like detrimental to our scene, because if people are playing online and getting all the rewards and I want to say the prizes or recognition, and it's like, why would we play in our local events, right? Like
Well, first of all, Kiran gets to play against some of the best players in the world
yeah.
online. Why? You don't need to travel to play against some of the best players in the world. Jam online, play MTGO.
Right, and so this is the thing, like like you play MTGO, right? That's where you're gonna learn, where you're gonna. But how do you feel? What's your feelings around MTGO versus paper Magic, right? Because this your list obviously is very combo centric. It's like about timing. It's about reading the play, reading all of those things. That's why you enjoy this. Like, I know you'll enjoy this list because it's also very good against burn in our South African meta. Prowess, so I was thinking that you picked this list because of that, right? That was my inclination when I looked at, say, why is he playing this? Or maybe he just has a snake once he played Mentor to just have that throwback to his snake days.
Well, look, the deck has been like, there's a few 5-0 lists online, but look, you don't want to play this deck online because of all the triggers. You need to stack them. So you can time yourself out. You can't gain infinite life in paper. You can't shortcut on MTGO.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better playing this in paper, and it's got game. I've played 3 events with a list now, and I feel comfortable with it. I think it's well positioned, and yeah, it's. I really think against the local meta, it does really well.
So let's talk about local meta. So for instance, any key standouts that you kind of shifted for local meta? Like I see three
Well,
Orient champions straight off the bat on the top there, right?
yeah, look, Oreo champion, you'll always play. I mean, Burn is one of the most popular decks here in our local meta because it's cheap to build,
Mm-hmm.
and most people have access to the cards.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll always have a few burn lists in a game.
Also,
in a tournament.
Tron's that other one, right? So what you know, Tron's always like around in SA.
Yeah, so that's the thing. It's like if you look at the MTGO meta, Tron is becoming popular now because of the rise of 4-color elementals,
Mm-hmm.
and you could see like on the qualifier event, it's like the 4-color elementals deck lost both its matches to mono green Tron
Mm-hmm.
because it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
So yeah, like there is a lot of local players with mono green Tron. We know this.
Yeah, I mean, Mono Green Tron did really well. We'll talk about Mono Green Tron because that's the game you played online, which is on stream. So we'll have a little look at that a little later. But tell me you did a 3-1 split between Auric Champion and Sanctify and Vic. Is that card supply? Was that a deck choice?
No, I've got most of the cards and variants of the lists that is available. So for this event, I brought in Sanctify and Vec because I was expecting a form of Dredge or
Brian Lello, aka.
Yeah,
he
Mr.
plays
Lello
Dredge,
and-
but he's a super competitive player, and you have to expect that you're going to play against him, right? Because
Yeah.
he's one of
And
the
I was
top
also
players.
also expecting what's the cycle deck you cycle and then you cascade into the
Living End.
living end, yeah. So yeah, I was expecting maybe 1 or 2 living end lists as well.
Yeah,
which
because that's also an
they
OG
weren't.
SA deck, right?
Yeah,
Like one of,
no,
like one.
it's cheap to build. It's
Yes.
really cheap to build.
I mean, not anymore with the.
No, not anymore. It was. It's like back in the day, it was so cheap to
Yeah.
build it.
But now, like, and that's like card supply, and so, you know, so that is like that's obviously small deck choices that give you that edge, right? So, let's actually talk to me about your sideboard. Right? So you told me that at the Stone Dragon event you didn't actually have dampening spheres. Right? Why did you feel like?
I didn't run damping spheres. I didn't think like Storm or Tron is going to pitch up, and I was trying to test different things. You know, I was running double prismatic ending, 3 Veil of Summers, 3 Force of Vigors, double endurance, and the 2 Sanctify and Vex on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's like I didn't know what to expect, so
Mm-hmm.
I just ran with it. But yeah, now changed it up a bit, brought back damping sphere for the event at Nexus. Cool. There's definitely going to be a few Tron lists.
Did it come up in your Tron game?
Yeah, no, like it's the reason why I won the match. It's like,
Mhm.
look, I don't think I've got a favorable matchup against Tron.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I just need to slow down. Yeah, the thing is like, you need to slow down and then you win. That's your game plan basically.
So let's so that was a dampening sphere. Endurance also for Dredge, I'm guessing. Lots of Lurus decks around not right now.
So as well, there's another application for endurance. So you can target yourself with endurance.
Uh-huh.
So if you play against a mill deck,
Mm-hmm.
you can shuffle your graveyard back into your library.
Yeah, that was an interaction I just because I literally put one endurance into my Rhinos deck so that I can put my footfalls back into my deck and kind of go and
Yeah,
get
you can cascade again. Yeah.
right. So that's
So
the,
that's a good tech. Yeah. So
Small-
also I played again also because I don't have to waste a slot on Gaia's Blessing for my mill matchup. I can just play endurance, which has
Mhm.
got multiple applications now.
and obviously also a 3/4 with a 3/4 now with Darcy's running,
Reach.
with reach with
Yeah.
Darcy's flying around forcing into attack.
It's-
It's like a wall for
It's
them.
very good. It's very good.
Right. So and I think that's also kind of one of those cards. So tell me the 3 Force of Vigors here, right? Do you feel because I know that when I looked at it, I was like, had to research what Hushwing Griff is before, because I was like, what the hell is this one card here? I've never heard it. And then I look at it and I'm like, oh, this is for Tiens, right? And this was
yeah. So after losing to Tiens in the finals at the Stone Dragon, I'm like, no. So it was between Hashbringer and Hashbringer Griff, and it was like, okay, cool, I've got Hashbringer Griff. I'm not going to pick up a Hashbringer now, and Hashbringer Griff has got flash. So when he casts a spell, I can flash it in, and his triggers don't resolve. So, like, look, if you resolve this card, he completely relies on his Renin 6 and Teferi to try to win the game. If he doesn't have his Planeswalkers, his deck is like useless completely.
And that's a huge one. But you didn't get to play Tiens, I did, right? And yeah, I probably needed one of those in my board. Right?
I'm telling you, dude, play it.
Yeah, I mean it's 3 CMC, which is huge for me, which is kind of thing. I see 4 paths to exiles. That's quite a big respect for big decks, like big mana creature decks.
So look, Skyclave Apparition hits only a certain amount of few targets, but Path to Exile is good against Mirror Match, it's good against Wurmcoil Engines, it's good against the bigger creatures that you don't have answers for in your main deck. So at the end of the day, you will run your paths.
Would you decide on trimming down on a path and maybe going up on certain things?
At the moment, the current sideboard now, I've got went down to 3 Path to Exiles.
Okay.
And went up to 2 Prismatic Endings.
Okay.
And then I want to find a slot for another Damping Sphere.
Another Dampening Sphere, just because of Tron and Burn and Prowess and.
It's such a good card. I believe without it you can't beat the Tron matchup. And I saw game one against my Tron.
Yeah,
he goes Ugin, I loses. I just lose.
Yeah, I saw you. I saw that. We're definitely going to go through some of that. And then the next one is, so how do you feel about Path to Exile versus Prismatic Ending? I know Prismatic Ending is a very good card, but it's sorcery, right? That's why I haven't fell in love with it. It's just like, I'm a control player, I want to tap and let's say go.
I like it. It kills Renin 6. It's great, and it's great against artifact decks.
Okay.
It's 1 mana to blow up anything.
Saga.
It's pretty good.
So what you're saying? 1 mana kills Saga, right? It's Prismatic Ending.
No. Saga doesn't get killed by Prismatic Ending, but Force of Vigor catches is a Saga.
Yeah. Okay. And then the Veils, obviously for control and Jund and Blackbar.
It's like, to be honest, the Veil of Summers is underwhelming for me. In the matches I drew them, it was okay. It wasn't great. It didn't swing a match for me. You know.
It just got you that extra card deeper, basically, and.
That's it.
Right. So I see. Obviously, there's only literally 3 creatures in your sideboard mainly like in a Coco creature deck now. How's that as a choice?
So look, when you board in your non-creature spells, the math says you don't want to go below 28 creatures for 4 Cocos. So as soon as you go below 28 creatures for your collected companies, you will start trimming down on Cocos. So in certain matchups, you can remove your Cocos. It's fine. If you play against the Fairy, your Coco is not very good anyway. So, but sometimes you keep 1 or 2 copies in. It's fine.
So that's basically your sideboarding plan, is to kind of, when you get kind of in the sideboard, you kind of change into a little bit of I think that's always happens in Magic, right? You're still trying to play your deck, but you're trying to get more control elements to the game, right? I always feel like post-board games are like control matches.
Yeah, so look, I'm not running the 30 creature package. I'm running 29 creatures and 1 Aladamari Skull. So I've got a tutor. So if I have 1 piece of a combo, I need to find the 2nd piece of a combo. I need to find apparition to remove something urgently. I can go tutor it up. That's fine.
Yeah, no. So you got 4 Cocos, so that's a pretty much, I want to say, it's a much wider spray, because you can get a little bit lucky, hit your Ballista, hit your Heliod, and then okay, cool, next game.
you don't want to eat your ballista in a Coco because it comes in with 0 counters.
You see, that's why you're the GP player and I'm not.
Yeah, if you guys spike speedy Heliod in with your Coco and you can do it turn 2, it's pretty good. It's
Okay.
turn 2 infinite life.
So I also there's another thing. So the Arbor Elf tech, right?
Yeah.
I think the Arbor Elf kind of we started seeing Arbor Elf come out in the, I think it was primetime lists that started using them for the mana ramp and trying to get them to accelerate a little bit more. And it's become a standard. Gruul Ponza started to take it up.
Yes.
To kind of get that additional mana, because most of your decks sitting, so you don't have. I mean, Arbor Elf's your one drop, your only one drop, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so some of the lists run 4 Birds of Paradise, 4 Noble Hierarchs, and they cut the Arbor Elf package.
Mm-hmm.
But now with the addition of Maya Cradle of Growth, I can untap my Gavany Township.
Oh, sick! That's some nice tech. That's some. This is why we have the deck text. You're like, oh yeah.
It's pretty good. It's like, okay, cool. Untap my Gavany Township. Let's put 2 counters on this turn.
Yeah, because I know that won you the game against Jo for, it was just 2 ballistas.
Yeah, so it was basically double ballista and Gavany Township. Just you couldn't deal with all the ping. Because his creatures are so small.
Mm-hmm.
You clear the board.
Yeah, I mean anything CMC2 or less, bro. Yeah,
that's it.
And everyone's like, no, Lurrus is broken. I was like, no, you gotta play weenies to play Lurrus, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta be a good weenie player to enjoy Lurrus. So these are definitely elements to that. So yeah, man, thank you for giving us that kind of breakdown. I think Arbor Elf feels nice.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I want us to go a little bit on the discussion side. So I just need to change some settings here, just to give us some screen shares, and otherwise we're just gonna see Jarcque's forehead all over the city. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, yeah. I mean, we can project onto it. That's totally fine.
It's big enough. And shame we don't want to make the stream horrible for all the viewers.
Yeah, I know. So okay, so
sorry guys.
So this actually, look here. I don't think we're gonna have to work on getting our video into it, but the video is up for people. I've watched it. You've probably played the game, so if people want to go view it and watch it, we'll put it. Obviously, this is our second discussion. Like the previous one, we had set up and we haven't had technical difficulties, and this one we want to. We'll obviously be upgrading and getting better. This is my first learning curve, and I'm wanting to push my knowledge of Twitch and OBS as a streamer, just because I want to get my yoga studio online with this. So this is why I'm kind of sharing with the community in that way, because it's for me, right? I'm learning, I'm getting to grow, but at the same time, these are my passions to get you guys to learn. So we're gonna get.
Helps not doing this on a Mac.
Okay. You're never gonna let me live that one down. So
no, never, dude.
So I remember when I watched game one was just a complete crushing from Tron, right? Just turn 3 Tron and was it turn 3 Tron?
I mainboard Coco thinking like, oh geez, let's just try to hit the combo and win,
Mm-hmm.
And look, next turn he goes Oog and wipes my board, and you can't come back from that. So look, greedy play from my end. I could have waited for him to cast
whatever he needed to do.
Clear the board, then Coco, kill Ugin the next turn. So look, it's small things.
Mm-hmm.
It was very greedy on my end.
But I mean, he turned 3 Tron and didn't play cons. That should have been obviously.
No, like I was happy he didn't drop a con. It was great.
Right.
But yeah, turn 4 Ugin. It's like white for board. Okay, cheers.
Right, and that's obviously a general Tron play, right? If they don't place con on turn 7, they wouldn't have kept something that it might be Ugin or Ulamar. So like that.
Dust.
Yeah, that's exactly like this is us leveling up as players, is learning the other decks, that how to play against them. Like getting the deck. So, and a lot of people think Modern's about the best deck, and you told me something. It's like it's learning your deck and how to get around it, right?
I've played like fringe decks and Modern. It's about knowing your matchups and knowing how to beat your matchups. It's you get incremental percentages in your win rate just by knowing your matchup better.
And that's experience, right?
You're not gonna... this is a horrible matchup. You're not going to win. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, this is
let's see.
it's always tough. Like you're not gonna. This is not a this is not a 60-40 matchup that the best deck generally has, or at the time, right? But if you know it, you can push it up to a 50-50 matchup, even though you're not playing the best deck.
It was like when I was playing humans a lot, and people say, "Yeah, Blue White Miracles is such a bad matchup for you." It's like, okay, cool. And I just leave my Ether Vial on 2 with Meddling Mage in hand, and they go Terminus, cool. Miracle trigger on the stack, flashing my Meddling Mage, naming Terminus. Now you can't Miracle it anymore.
Right, and you've got to be conservative and play that.
The next round, I win. The next turn, I win. It's done.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because you're just waiting for them to pull the trigger, right? And that's that modern gameplay. It's like it's almost got to get that poker feel. It's like, do you have it? Are you willing to pull? Who's gonna pull the trigger first? Like, you know, and that's
it.
Yeah, that's like a control game, and that's, you know, it takes so much time to get that discipline to play. For instance, when you're winning, to play to kind of erode your opponent's outs first, you know, and when you're losing, to try and find those outs, right? And it's like shifting those gears is what makes you a good Magic player. And you know, like personally from my experience, but how do you feel like, when did you know when, okay, now I need to be aggressive, now I need to be slow it down?
Every situation is different. So you just need to know your matchups really well. I mean, this week, like the previous event, is the final round. I was playing Rhinos, and I didn't feel comfortable with the match. And at the end of the day, it's like small decisions. Don't play Coco in my turn. Play the Coco in his turn when he taps out, so you can't force some negation it. Also, every time he tries to cascade, I sack my Ranger Captain of Eos or Knight Captain of Eos. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, because the cascade trigger goes onto the stack, and then you can't cast spells.
So he casts, and then he can't cast Rhinos. And I did it 3 times to him in one match.
Oh my god, that's disgusting.
And so it's like I'm so far ahead now. So yeah,
I feel the guy's pain.
It's small things. It's small lines like that you start picking up by playing your deck well enough and playing against certain matchups.
And then tell me, game 2, it went to you. It was the
Damping Sphere. Just Damping Sphere.
Just turn to Damping Sphere, get your Cocos on, play the board. And game 3 felt like a bit of a tug of war.
Oh. Yeah, like look, I think I got very lucky game 3. He flooded out badly. He didn't draw much. So it's like my Damping Spheres stopped him early, so I could put pressure on. But like he drew up to 8-9 lands, and he didn't draw threats. So
he just didn't get Ulamog, yeah.
But it put me in a position where I could hold threats back in case he draws something, and put enough pressure on to end the game.
So you learned from your mistake in game 1, Mike. Leveling up in the game to win the next one.
Lesson number 1: don't get too excited or greedy in a match.
Yeah, I think that's a huge lesson, like in life, I guess, you know, like know what you have, don't get greedy, like, you know, like sometimes there's nothing, sometimes there's everything.
To mulligan. I think the biggest thing that I've learned to becoming a better player is know when to mulligan.
Yeah.
If you know your matchup and you draw your 7 cards and you know this hand does nothing against this matchup, don't keep it. Yeah, I've got a mixture of spells and lands, but it does nothing against this matchup. Don't keep it. Mulligan,
take that decision. Yeah, I mean that's why we want to get the people understanding those things, because that's gonna get people playing better, playing good Magic, because that's those decisions. I feel like you're leveling up when you knew your opening hand was the problem. Right?
100%.
Right, because then you can look back and say, I played every decision as best I could, but I made the wrong decision, which was keeping at that hand.
If you keep a bad hand, you're already taking that win percentage. You lowering your win percentage.
Yeah, and then we had a few more things that I wanted to kind of. There was our. So then also JO's game. I remember JO's game. You were in chat on Tuesday, and we had JO, and he also talked about mulligan decisions, right? He's like, game 3, by the end of the day I knew what hands to keep because that hand did nothing, right? And
That's
so coming back to your list there, you know that force of vigor. Are you still getting comfortable with the three forces of vigor, or did you feel like it was necessary to have the additional one? Because you
Yeah, I need four. I need four. Definitely, I need four. No, look, I didn't draw. I didn't draw any force of figures against him, but as well, keeping bad hands. But game 2 and 3 did mulligan. Kept a reasonable hand. In the last one, last game, it was double conclave mentor, 2 lands, and a walking ballista. And that was like, yeah, cool, I can keep this. But my line, how I approached my second turn was wrong. I was too scared of him being too aggressive, so I dropped my ballista first instead of dropping conclave mentor.
And it's like
So that punished me.
Right, that decision was like, do I need the 1/1 ping to take out any sentinels, or because I mean he spewed his board out from that match. Like you just like
but he wasn't turn 2 turn 3. So if I went turn 2 conclave, turn 3 conclave into turn 4 ballista with 3 counters on it, I would have been in a more secure position.
Yeah, because then you've got 2 pings or 3 pings if you need to let go of the ballista. You've also got an activation if you need for count township, or I don't know if you had township on the board. I'm probably making stuff up now, but
I'm free. I didn't have township, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a huge one. I mean, I haven't seen that since the old Malira. Was it Malira? Not Malira, and Offenza combo.
And Offenza.
Yeah, and that was an era, right? So, and these things still come back, right? They come back. You've had Pure Steel in there before, so these cards are always in the pool. It's just at some point they come out, they go back in. So, look, Jarcque, I want to say this has been a pleasure kind of chatting to you, but I want to also get, because you're one of the toppies here, right? When I say that, yeah, I say that, but you've been around the Magic block, that you got gray hair when it comes to cards.
I'm tired of cards, to be honest.
Whatever, you're still playing with us, so I don't think you'll ever get tired.
I'm tired of cards.
So I want your insight, because you've been a store owner, you've been a TO, you've been a player, you play competitively. What do you feel like the South African community needs in terms of its improvement to get to that international standard?
Closer borders to the US or any European country. I mean, it's a
close the borders. So what? Like we are just playing in South Africa.
Yeah, look, if South Africa was sitting where Egypt was, our competitive scene would be amazing. Unfortunately, we live in South Africa. Our competitive scene, at the end of the day, if you look at it from a business perspective for Wizards, we do not buy enough product in this country for them to warrant any big events. It's.
I mean, but let's, like you say that, right? We don't sell enough products, right? But when I look, I like to buy cards that I want to keep for Modern, and I'm looking at the things. I go into all the LGSs. I want to support them. So Modern Horizons hit, right? All the LGSs did their pre-release prices, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, 7,500 rand. It's right. It's still pricey, right? But I want to support my stores, right? They're the ones that are helping me. This is making that decision on a discounted value, right? At interest. But now 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, we're looking at all of these things and we're saying, oh my gosh, like how, like if no one's gonna buy product, right? Like as an economist, right? As you increase price, demand reduces, right? I completely understand. We have external costs. We've got import duties. We've got, as you said, if we were closer to Egypt, we wouldn't have a problem, right? As close as Egypt, we'd never have a problem because the transport cost from Europe is negligible.
It's very cheap,
right?
Very cheap.
And yet we have to send it. I mean, Sapo is probably even the worst. Like you can order online now, and then you've got to
I lost so many cards already, and decks, and play mats, and I don't even want to speak about that.
Right. So now it's like, how are you expecting the community to, like when you tell me that there was 80 players in 2000 for nationals, right? And here we're sitting in 2020 when Magic's at its peak, right? In terms of global interest, like when they're putting $10 million as price pool, or $1 million, sorry, $1 million, 15 million rand on the for prizes, we start to question, like, like where
Let me put it to you this way: a store owner loses money opening a box to sell singles.
so then why
He
we are
does
gonna
not
have,
make money.
right? And that's I'm just taking that's why you have to close the shop, right?
Oh, there's multiple factors.
I know that, yeah, okay, but that means like
pandemic.
there's no like lucrative market for MTG itself to be sustained, right? But you,
I started importing complete play sets from Europe because it was cheaper buying complete play sets from Europe, and then I would drop 250,000 rand with every set instead of buying boxes from the supplier.
hmm I mean, that's
So
huge, right? That's a business decision, right? Now,
yeah,
as a business decision, like you've got to question, like it's like, you've got your costs and you got to make revenue, right? That's
yeah,
the long and short of this, right? As an LGS, like, doesn't matter what game you're playing, what game you're looking at, how you're looking at this thing. It's like you're in order like the South African market is not liquid for cards, not the way it is in America. Like I was lucky enough to maybe play a few drafts and everything at the LGS. Never gotten the opportunity to play a GP just to experience those things. But no one's going to experience that in South Africa, or at that level. And tell me, I think it was 2016, or you said you went to GP, you got
2017.
2017, right? I know when you came back, and I asked you how did you feel the gameplay changed you, and you're like, it's a whole nother level, right?
Yeah,
Tell
it's
me
next
about that
level.
level. Like,
Well, look, it's it's difficult to explain. It's like when you start play, like when you play at that level, and I think people like Quran, and Savesh, especially Quran, because he played multiple events abroad. I mean, Russia, Barcelona
he
in
top eighted that
2018
one in
as
Russia,
well.
right? He did top
Yeah,
eighted
yeah,
Russian GP. Yeah.
yeah. So look, he's befriended a lot of the pro players, and they understand. They work together, building decks. They learn the interactions, and that's the thing that the SA community is lacking a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when we were a bit younger, I think I was like 25. Just 10 years ago, we started a test group. Myself. And Enrico, Colin Bossman,
Okay. Yeah. Sick.
Domain Andrews was still in the play group, and we took national series seriously, and we ran gauntlets once a week to learn the matchups and stuff like that, and that made you a better player.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like understand when these oaks that are getting paid to play Magic, these oaks are playing 8 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
They next level. It's
You've
they
done the
know
reps.
they know the ins and outs of every single matchup. You're trying to figure out like what's the next move, and they already like they know what's the next 4 turns.
I mean, you can see that when you watch a Pro Tour game and you're just watching the finals or whatever, and like the person like plays and they don't even stop to think.
Yeah,
They're like they got a counter spell in their hand and they know, like they don't even blink to say that they got a counter spell. They say, okay, cool, let's go.
they already made the decision. Okay, like he's going to play this now. I'm going to counter it. If he doesn't play it, I'm not going to counter it.
Yeah, I got to hold this counter spell for that, and that's all I got to do. Like for instance, you're like, I got to hold Ranger Captain to sit there for the Cascade matchup, right? Like,
yeah, that's it.
and that's just small experiences to get that. So I hope people look forward, because we're going to be doing some Sunday Magic. So we're trying to create that gauntlet vibe for South African meta. So we're going to do like the golden oldies versus news. So like all the new meta decks, trying to get the new stuff against our classic pieces. Like, we'll put, I think, Storm in there, Tron, we'll put Burn. We put all the Boomer Jandlers, all of that, because, right, that's what we have to play against. We're not playing against all the new...
Yeah, we like, to be honest, we in South Africa can afford 4 Ragavan. I mean, are you going to drop 6,000 rand for 4 Ragavan?
I don't think it's worth it. I mean...
No, like 6,000 rand is a lot in South Africa.
It's huge.
But in the States, $400 is not much. Yeah.
So that, I mean, that's a relative pricing, and I think we need to obviously try and figure out that if we want to obviously get the competitive scene, we've also got a lot of legacy staples and stuff sitting in stores gathering dust, right? Like,
Yeah.
and we got to figure out a better way. I mean, there's a whole stock market for us to be basically exploiting. We got to be, investing and getting into that. I say investing, but it's like picking the right stocks, right?
Yeah.
That it,
No,
like
you need to speculate. You need to speculate properly.
yeah, and it's not really speculating. It's like, okay, cool. We need at least 10 play sets of expressive iterations in SA right now.
Yeah.
That's
At
it.
any given time. At any given time.
Right? At least for like there's I mean there's we said there was 7 prowess decks. That's like I don't know if they're even playing expressive iterations. Probably too slow for it. It's not too expensive. But I'm
I
seeing
mean,
some.
even Rashawn asked me the night before the event, is like, do you have what's the Sprite Dragons?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he asked me, do you have 2 Sprite Dragons?
yeah, and I was like, that's a common, right? Like uncommon,
but
and like even on the other side is like during the pandemic we didn't even get promo Sprite Dragons in, right?
yeah, so I think that was a big problem. Like, Ikoria was very undersold in South Africa because it was in the middle of our first lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
The pre-release happened, and like I think there's so much stock with the suppliers still. Um, I mean, but you'll see the markets are going to get flooded now with that stock. You're going to get it for cheap. So you can even see on One Day Only and what's the other one that's famous, like for online
Oh,
shopping.
like Wix? Oh, no, what's it? Wish
No, not Wish. No, man. The
for
South
fake
African
cards.
store, man. No, the South African store, man. But anyways, for online, those the mass retailers are selling Magic product at way cheaper what the shops are selling. I'm just like saying
It's crazy. Like Musica, because I know Musica closed down. They're selling boosters at 30 rand a booster or something ridiculous.
So I was in Clark's store the other day, and it's like they had challenger decks, sealed challenger decks, and they got rid of a whole box. I mean, I paid 150 rand a deck effectively.
What?
Because they just needed to get rid of it.
150 rand, and that's like you probably bought like there's probably Chandras in there. There's Embercleave.
Well, it was a Bone Crusher Embercleave decks with Tor brands and stuff like that. Yeah.
For 150 rand, right?
Yeah.
Like
unbelievable.
So I mean, if you just take $2 for Bone Crushers, right? I think that's obviously going to go up in price in future. Yeah. I mean, they got reprinted quite some time, but yeah, I think that's going to be a modern Pioneer staple. Right,
it's a very popular card.
Very versatile, right?
I think the Adventure mechanic was a mistake as well.
Yeah, that whole set was a mistake, but that's probably a discussion for another day. But that's $2 sitting right now, right? So $2 at 15 rand, that's 30 rand a box, 30 rand for Bone Crusher. I think there's 4 in that box, 4 Bone Crushers or in that challenger deck.
Yeah, I'll check the deck lists.
Yeah, but I mean that's already 60. If that's 30 rand, that's 3 Bone Crushers, 90 rand. That's already half the deck paid, and that's also got an Embercleave in it, which is probably going to see some play at some point with the
Pioneer. It's going to see so much play in Pioneer. I mean,
yeah. So and that's what like we're clearly not getting it right. Right. We need to figure out a way somehow as a community for us to build this space. We're gonna learn to kind of I want to call it like wizards. We're never going to we sound small and everything, but we are one of the founding nations of Magic, if you want to call it. When I say that 1990.
Yeah, look, we got like beta, a lot of beta stock in 98. Oh, 96, no, sorry, 95. 95, there was a lot of beta stock coming into the country. Yeah. So, look, it just feels like, for me, the enthusiasm, of playing competitive events is lost.
And I'm hoping to bring that back, right? Just by bringing a camera, to the table, we're already showcasing that, right? It seems really small, but the idea of being televised puts a little bit more pressure. It puts a little bit more, what do you want to call, pride on the line, right? Because that's all we play for in SA. We're not playing for the money when you come to a competitive. Yeah, it's nice to get those.
I mean, we've got the scene. 2018 Nationals in Cape Town showed us that it was one of our biggest nationals ever, 125 players.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a community. we've got the player base. Look, it's like traveling up from say East London or PE or Durban, Cape Town up to Joburg is not cheap.
Yeah.
But it's
It's a ragavan, or two ragavans.
I'd rather have a ragavans, thanks, bud.
Yeah, we'll walk to Cape Town. It's fine.
But yeah, it's difficult for us. So our economy is in a difficult position, and we're playing it not a cheap hobby. It's an expensive hobby.
Well, you say that, right? Think about like if you're a youngster going Friday night or spending like 200 or 300 rand on booze, right? Like like that's what it costs on a night nowadays. Like entrance, all of those things. And if you put that towards an F&M or kind of
You need to come to Podge, dude. For $100, I can get you wasted all weekend.
yeah, bro, I'm not a drinker, hey.
Yeah, I know.
So that brings me. I'm a smoker, and there was a moment on Egg that we obviously not allowed to bring up these stuff because it's a more family stream. We're not that. We're here for mature content. You can see drinking on, and our intention is, that's how I usually play. That's I'm coming to kind of get stressed out, like, de-stress, get away from all the day to day. But when you play like that, I also can't play like that anymore and competitively because it's not at the high standard that is respected in that game, right? And this comes down to when I played in Potch. It was the top deck versus Protea Gaming down there. So first round I played Adam. And I obviously misplayed, but I wasn't sure we were going to REL rules. And I'm like, bro, you know what state of mind I'm in. I just we've driven 1 hour, whatever. All I did was put the land in the wrong place, but you want to take this. So I'm like, fine. And this is Comp REL, right? So the difference, that's weird. I don't know if we've touched on that. It's obviously how Comp REL impacts the gameplay, right? And the standard, right? So by just introducing Comp REL, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, we're introducing judges. So that means there's automatic fair play has to be introduced, right? It's like if there's a judge there, there's the highest level of rules understanding for every interaction, right? But you've also got to be there to pick it up. We don't have access to I think it's a judge per 3 tables in Europe, or
look, it's a different ball game in Europe. But first of all, from a player perspective, the lack of knowledge when it comes to the rules and the competitive events, I think there is a big gap. Players do not understand the rules 100%, and there's a lot to be learned.
And that's also arena play, right? Everyone plays on arena thinking that they know the game, right? And then they come.
You don't know the game.
Right?
Play it on paper.
Yeah, no. The computer knows the game, and you know how to click and drag. Right?
Yeah, 100%. It's no. When it comes to paper magic and competitive REL, it's the game is built around the rules, and you want to play this game with those rules in place and make sure it's like I'm facing an opponent that does the same.
It's like a mutual respect in a way. Because
that's why you have the judges. The judges are there to make sure the game is played fairly.
Yeah, and then the other one is obviously deck lists is insane. Deck tech was insane. So yeah, I will get to Boulder up, but just having the deck list. So I can just give you guys. I can give you the deck list while we're chatting here, so you can have a look at it. But having a deck list, right? For instance, when you enter top 8, it's normal about a random or what's the choices. It's like he's got 1 art, so I can play a little bit more comfortably, or he's got 8 pieces of removal that have to play.
So I understand that when you come into a top 8 situation and you have access to a deck list and you see their strategy, it's look, that's also what I enjoy about paper magic, because you can start bluffing. Because my opponent has this knowledge. So is he going to expect I'm going to board into that? Or don't I? There's a whole level.
And that's the next level of a sideboarding gameplay, right? It looks like you're okay, you can play that, make sure it blows him out in game 2 or whatever, and then sideboard it, and he's got all those answers and dead cards in his hand now to that same thing, and he's playing around that because he's got all that PTSD from round 2, and you're like, oh my
100%.
word.
It's like it was great for me. Is like some events. It's like, okay, cool. We're playing top 8. He's got deck list. All I do, I take my 15 card sideboard, shuffle it into my deck in front of him, and take 15 cards out. My opponent has no idea what's going on.
How many numbers, the whole thing. But if you take 2, like how I'm like, because I'm bad at my math. I'm like, okay, I'm taking 5, I'm taking like 3, so I just put them on there, right? But you know, I think Lelo was telling me, it's like, you know, when you played someone, the guy was like, he was playing mismatching islands, right? Basics. So the guy was literally taking question, like basic notes of what island it was, so that he knew exactly how many it was for basics.
So, but that's the thing. It's like when you play a Forties deck or Inquisition deck, and or you play against it. The thing is, you write down which islands it is. You want to play matching lands to like make sure that's not additional information for your opponent. It's very simple. Small things like that. It makes a big difference in a game.
So another one about the deck list, right? It forces people to maintain their deck, right? So you can't just change it on between rounds, you know, or oh shit, I'm going to play against this guy, I need to drop this into my sideboard, you know, like, and that's when you're playing with for like 10,000, like that is huge, right? You can't that's like like, I want to say cheating, but it's like, that's, if we don't enforce that rule, there's space to open for that, right?
Look, 2020, 2017. Which year was our devastation?
Amonkhet. It was like 2000. That was just after BFZ, right? So 2016, 17. They were around about there.
So that Nationals, the top 8 draft, and not the top 8 draft, the draft before the cut to top 8. I forgot to register a card on my deck list, because you get a sheet with all the cards in the set and you have to register all your cards, and I forgot to register. The last round I get a deck check.
Oh my god.
I get a match loss.
And that's huge.
That was a win and in. It's
and I've also taken one of those. Like, I know Brandon's also like, you know, 59 card deck by mistake, and I even this egg qualifier is like, if I didn't do my deck, I can't use the setting up the stream as an excuse, because this is what it requires to be a competitive player. You do all your work at night, right? You don't do it on the day, in the morning. Like, yeah, you can, but you want to make sure that you don't have any kind of, you take a match loss for registering an incorrect deck. That's the rule. So
it's match loss. The judge's decision at the end of the day, it was a match loss, not a game loss.
Yeah, I think it's two infringements is a game loss, one is a match loss, and you know, like,
it depends on there's a very grey line with that. There's certain levels of severity. So I spoke to the judge, like, give me a game loss at least, you know, and no, it's like, you know, match loss.
It's too far down, and it's like way up into the things, and yeah.
I was still playing against Kalyan there, the last he was supposed to be my last opponent for last round, and he made, like, I think he won that event actually. Cal Petkov. So just shows you the small thing makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, if I had done that, I would have known I had a 14 card sideboard, and I needed an extra Blood Moon, which was my first round loss against Ricardo. Right? Yeah. Small edges.
That's the thing. Like, look, but that's a problem. It's we don't get to experience that enough in South Africa, and to know the severities of breaking a rule.
We don't get enough of this, there.
Yeah, that's the children. Like, I was fortunate enough. Like, I'm very close to with a lot of the judges, and you know, having judges as friends, like, just the punishment of breaking a certain rule, understanding that as a player as well, can be a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the things we wanted to speak to and get Finley involved to as part of our gameplay is as the gauntlet we want to create, because He's one of the
explain into the rules interaction what happens, understand the layering of certain things. I mean, there's a lot of things that players don't understand. They play the game, they understand certain rules, the basic rules, but it goes very deep. It goes very deep.
Yeah, you can go, and that's what I love about it. I love those nuanced interactions that no one's gonna know about, but you're like, and I think that's the Modern Horizons 2 sets is like that. It's like the difference between card type versus each or targets, right? It's like the like those and it's like Magic was the word sum. When you had to do word sums or whatever they were, like you had to convert it. Magic's that, right? Then you look at the card, you're like, there's a lot of word sums that can happen, and you've got to figure out all the word sums for it.
So if you want to understand how hectic Comp Ariel is, the grinder events for Fridays before Barcelona, to give you an example, Wesley, like he's going to kill me for this, Wesley Ward.
This is what we want. This is why we have this stream late at night.
So he was playing a limited grinder to try to get 2 buy. Anyways, he instant speed equipped. No, because like he didn't play any standard or anything. He used to play modern, so he remembers Ink Morph, Blink Morph, and I've got Cranial Plating that I can equip at instant speed. So at the end of the opponent's turn, he goes to equip this at instant speed. His opponent is like, let it go. One of the bystanders calls for judge, and like Wesley got a DQ for that out of an event. So like it wasn't intentional at all.
I mean, I heard a rule recently, right? Because I'm playing Rhinos, and it's like the suspend trigger can't, like, so you can't forget your suspend trigger, right? But
your opponent can't.
Both of us can't, right?
Yeah. Both will get warnings.
Both will get warnings for misplaying that thing.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't be like, right? You can't in a Comp REL. You can't when it comes to untap trigger. You and your opponent have to ensure that suspend trigger is thing. So you can't take advantage of the turn cycles or any of that, right? That your person forgot to trigger your trigger.
What do they call it when you? There's a nice word for it that they use for it. Not rules lawyering. There's another one.
Layering.
No, it's when the pro players abuse the rules because they don't let their opponents, they don't remind them of the triggers.
Yeah.
It was a big story.
Board state violation. Game state
violation, yeah, you'll get that warning.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, if it's not a May trigger, both players need to remember it. It's simple.
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's huge.
If it's not a May trigger, you have to remind your opponent if they forget. Otherwise, you're going to get a warning. It's simple.
Yeah, and that's also good play, right? This is not trying to take advantage of the rules.
No, it's the rules.
This is the rules, right?
You got the advantage. You playing the rules.
Yeah, and it's like that's what Comp REL is like. Yeah. You are so good with the rules understanding that you're playing within that boundaries at the best of that game, and that's.
But understand, not just that. I want to make sure myself and my opponent has got a fair opportunity to play this amazing game.
Exactly, right? You don't want to be playing Counter-Strike and then you've got a fucking splatter for aim, and then this orc's got like a thing, like that's exactly how it would be, because you're like, okay, cool, I've put on this cheat that allows me to see through walls and everything, and going through all of that, right? And then your opponent, you're like, oh man, why do I keep losing against this guy? And it's like, this is how the card's supposed to operate, and we're not keeping the way the card operates as a kind of board state. And I think that's really when we're gonna kind of get our game up and get the kind of Magic community really. We gotta get everyone interested in the rules, right? And the dynamics.
I agree 100%.
That's the most important about. And hopefully we get to do that and continue that through the stream. And showcasing this, and I want to say thank you, Jarcque. I mean, we went a bit over time. We were in 10 minutes over time.
It was fun.
And I really appreciate the feedback. I want to say thank you for allowing us to use your page to kind of spread this content, right? Even you've done all the hard work, and I still want you to kind of be involved. And we'll probably call you on for one of the Saturdays for 2 hours. We'll play, and the idea is to keep.
I'm always available. If you want me to come talk to whoever,
Yeah,
I'll
well, the
answer.
idea is to play some good Magic live and play those matchups and get that gauntlet vibe going, and then get some teams going, like get some rivalries, like but get that sportsmanship up, right? Like
We need to amp it up.
we are amping up. This is what we're doing as tabletop. We're getting all of these things and we're putting it on YouTube. We're getting all our content. So if you want, I'm gonna post the link in chat. I am going to give you our YouTube channel, which is where we upload all our recorded content um, from our games, from all the um, things, content we're creating. The intention is so that we, yeah. So this is why we. So this is our intention is to have that um, a library for South African players to go and watch local stuff, right?
But to be honest, Rushan, you don't need this. Rushan is good enough, bro.
Yeah, he's got a
Come
very good rules understanding, and I've noticed that. Like and that's.
Bro, you'll take any toppy. I'm just saying.
Well, we're gonna do that. We're gonna put that quote to the test. And on that note, thank you all the toppies for joining and being in chat and stream, and thank you Jarcque for really showcasing South African Magic, and thank you guys for joining. We'll see you guys.
Yeah, just a shout out. Like there's Modern this weekend at Jarcque. Saturday it starts at 1. Next week there is some Modern at Geekom as well. And then hopefully everyone will be at the Stat Robot Qualifier next month.
Okay.
I think it's for 4th.
I almost forgot that. That's
yeah,
and
so
then also for those who
Saturday.
just in terms of competitive content, I'm gonna be at Top Deck for standard.
Bro,
right?
So yeah, I'm just gonna play Modern. I've got a deck now. I can play again.
Yeah, no. The reason I'm going to do that is because I'm not here to. I'm here for all the stores. I'm here for competitive play. I'm here and we're trying to build up the profile of nationals and in that space. So I want us to see that because Top Deck doesn't have a Modern event. They only have Standard and Pioneer, and they're also a store that.
I wish I had Modern.
Yeah, well, that was a choice between all the stores in South Africa, in Joburg, to combine the events so that we didn't split the players, which was a very good decision to ensuring we got big event numbers, and that's why we had 3 seats instead of 1 seat per event, right? And which is also feels a little bit nicer, even though you played really well and you didn't get the top space. For instance, you would never have had that opportunity if they didn't combine those events. So. In terms of showcasing competitive events, I've got a standard deck. That's why I'm going to go there, help them set up. We will be live for Top Deck to showcase their store. We're going to also hopefully have all of that content, and hopefully we'll talk to the standard winner or top 3, one of them, to go through this type of understanding and deck list so that we can play a little bit better in South Africa. But thank you guys. Yeah.
Cheers, thanks Lee. Looking forward. Hopefully seeing you at the next event and jamming some games, man.
Yeah, you'll definitely see me at Sad Robot. For some
Looking forward.
Cheers, bud. Cheers.
Okay. Cheers, guys.